il 24 e 28 aprile di quest'anno, appunto sul circuito del Texas di Austin, con la seconda appuntamento a Laguna Seca il 15-19 maggio scorso, poi Montreal in Canada in concomitanza col Gran Premio di Formula 1 lo scorso 7-9 giugno, quarta gara a Watkins Glen il 10-14 luglio 2024, poi quinta gara sul circuito di Sonoma 21-25 agosto, l'ultimo appuntamento, la sesta disputata sul circuito di Indianapolis l'11-15 settembre scorso. Questo, dicevo, è il settimo appuntamento del campionato Ferrari Challenge Nord America e sono in palio i titoli. Abbiamo una classifica molto diciamo stretta con, per quanto riguarda il trofeo Pirelli, Diane Medler che ha conquistato con i punti ottenuti ieri 410 punti assoluti, 399 Roberto Perrina, quindi un distacco di 11 punti, e 398 il pilota Mattias Perez Compank che ha quindi 12 punti di distacco. Questa classifica permette ovviamente grandi cambiamenti, perché per quanto riguarda la classifica di campionato il punteggio assegnato in campionato: il primo posto ottiene 35 punti, il secondo classificato 32, 30 il terzo, 28 il quarto e così via fino al 17 punti che ottiene il decimo classificato, per cui classifica completamente aperta nel trofeo Pirelli AM con Brian Cook 400.
Hello everyone, welcome to Imola. This is race 2, the final race of the Ferrari Challenge North America Season 4 2024 in terms of the championships. Here we are in Imola. We have had a phenomenal calendar in the North America Ferrari Challenge this year. As you can see, Circuit of the Americas, Laguna Seca, Montreal, Watkins Glen, Sonoma, Indianapolis. What a lucky boy am I. I've been to all of them. And here we are in Imola for the final round in terms of our championship for 2024. A world final race is still to come, of course, for some of our North American racers. But they will contest their final race of our championship season on this 4.9 kilometer circuit with 21 turns, 12 left, 9 right, anti-clockwise direction. A real test for our drivers. Though the weather is not so much of a test as they have experienced so far this weekend. I say weekend, we've been here racing since, or qualifying since Wednesday. Track temperature 22 degrees, the air temperature 20 degrees. Forget all that, the important thing is it's dry, and that has not been a given across the course of the days that we have been here. We have our Pirelli drivers, our Pirelli AM drivers, our Shell drivers, and our Shell AM drivers all out there on track for these races. And of course, it is the culmination of the championship as we look at the Dylan Medler car, which looks absolutely resplendent now because of the rules and regulations with regards to the Ferrari Challenge in North America, Nico. This is the race that decides the champions across Shell, Shell AM, Pirelli, and Pirelli AM, of course.
Absolutely, and it's been 6 events plus a race to get here, and today the championships will be awarded, and we had our European calendar come to a close just an hour or so ago, and now it's the turn for North America. This is the last race of all the regional categories for 2024. So let's soak it in and enjoy it.
Roberto Perina that we can see out there on the grid. He qualified P2 for this race. Dylan Medler going from P1 pole position. So let's take a look at the highlights of race 1 from Ferrari Challenge North America here at Imola. Matthias Perez Compact looking very, very racy right at the beginning of the race. Dylan Medler and Roberto Perina. Roberto Perina getting a little bit skittish then, the back end of the car, but Dylan Medler, no such dramas as he converted that pole position into the P1 in the race. Now, Jeff Nunberg and Lisa Clark had something of a coming together, and Tony Davis was pushing as hard as he could as Christopher Cagnazzi went around. It was good avoidance by Cyril Choksi, who avoided, and unfortunately that was a high-speed moment for Bram Waltersdorf, who found the barriers all perfectly okay, but the Continental Autosports car was somewhat engaged with the tyre barriers. It was a high-speed moment, but absolutely perfectly okay. Matthias Perez Compact then in the 350 car, who's been such a star this season. And as you can see, John Viscup decided to take something of a shortcut. I'm not sure he was keen on doing that, and it propelled the car into the wrong direction. Now, this was another one from Frank Szczesniak, who thankfully thread his way between two cars before making contact with the barriers. For Dylan Medler, well, you can see the absolute delight as he headed towards the checkered flag, because effectively Dylan Medler at this point had done enough really to seal the championship for the Pirelli drivers, and you could see just how happy the collection and Ferrari of Miami were at that point, because in truth, Nico, all he's got to do is start this race.
Yeah, the way that this works is in North America, you score points the moment you enter the race and you take part in the race. So that means crossing the start line, and that means some of the drivers who theoretically still need points will get those points by starting the race, because they can't score 0 points. And that means even though theoretically other drivers could catch up with them by the moment they start the race, they will clinch the championship, and that, as we understand, will be effectively true across the board.
And if my memory is, which fails like the rest of me, is correct, that means Dylan Medler for Pirelli. That means Brian Cook for Pirelli Am. That means for the Shell drivers, one Mr. Eric Marston, and for our Shell Am drivers, Roger Monteforte.
That is our understanding here. Obviously, it's all provisional until scrutineering, until the official notification comes, and trophies will be awarded tomorrow night during the Ferrari Gala. We will give you what we think and we understand, with the great help from everybody at Ferrari, and especially the team in North America. Matt Dusenberry.
Matt Dusenberry is, as we speak, sending messages to us.
Yeah. Oh. Keep it kind, please. Matthias Perez Compact.
Matthias Perez Compact. I had a conversation with him about an hour ago, just before he was heading to get prepared for the race. Matthias has been a real star in the Ferrari Challenge this year in North America. We have had some phenomenal races, I can tell you. And there is the 311 car that you can see of Jason McCarthy. Now, Jason McCarthy's been a busy man this year, Nico, because in the North American Series, where the 488 Challenge car has been running as well, Jason has had dual campaigns where he's literally been jumping at the end of one race out of one car into another one. And I spoke at length to Tony Vilander about this, and it's not so easy to jump from different cars and contest races back to back. But Jason McCarthy has been doing that, and you'd never better way from Jason McCarthy having a very, very good result. Here is John Viscup then in the 489 car. John Viscup has had a great season for Boardwalk Ferrari, and then right behind you can see the car, the Ferrari of Westlake car of Eric Marston then, who's in the driving seat when it comes to the Shell Championship. I first met Eric actually before racing. It was in an airport lounge somewhere, and we were attracted to each other by virtue of the fact that we had Ferrari luggage. There you go, and that's the truth. And I have to say, yeah, I've always had a good bond with Eric, as I have all the Ferrari Challenge North American drivers, Nico. And it's just curious, isn't it, that you meet in the strangest of places, and then, of course, I have had the opportunity to talk about him an awful lot, particularly this season.
Very, very good.
The 401 car that we can see now is driven by Roger Monteforte, the Ferrari of Central New Jersey driver. Now, Roger has had a good season and banked a number of wins, but he's had some downs as well with P10s and P12s, which is still very, very creditable. But he hasn't had it all his own way, to be truthful, Nico. And Dylan Medler, a bit like Jason McCarthy, he's had a busy year as well, because he's not only been racing in Ferrari Challenge North America, but racing in Ferrari Challenge Europe as well.
Yeah, he didn't quite jump from one car to the next, but he had to take an airplane in between and go from one continent to the other.
In fairness, back-to-back weekends, as indeed I know all about that.
I guess so. Yeah, so we have 28 cars all in all. We're about a minute away from this race getting underway. It's great to have some sunshine to cap off the Continental Series. We didn't have it all week long, effectively. And it's not going to be like that over the weekend, but we enjoy the sunshine while we have it.
Absolutely. Be grateful for small ones, hey, at the moment.
Indeed.
So, as Nico has indicated, 28 cars across all our categories in the Ferrari Challenge North America. Our Pirelli drivers have a red strip across the top of the windscreen. Our Pirelli Am drivers have a white strip across the top of the windscreen. Our Shell drivers have a yellow strip across the top of the windscreen. And our Shell Am drivers have a black strip across the top of the windscreen. There are so many cars out there on track that they, on the start-finish straight, which isn't, they are beyond the kink, which forms the final turn before the start-finish line. You can see them all the way back to the Pirelli banner there. Race is about to get underway. The calm before the storm, as the Richard Mille safety car leads the cars away then on their formation lap here. The final race of our championship season for 2024. And I'm really emphasizing that because, of course, the world final race is still to come. And not only because the Ferrari Challenge is supporting the Formula One Grand Prix in a non-championship round at Las Vegas as well. Al Heggie goes alongside Paul Lynn. Then it is Brian Waterstorff and Gabe Harib. Then we find Dana Goodwin and Steve Check, P24, P23 for those drivers. It's Roger Monteforte and Jeff Nunberg then, P22 and P21. They are Shell Am drivers. To the Shell drivers, Osvaldo Gallo and last year's Shell Am champion, Lisa Clark. Then it's Bruce Cleveland and Eric Marston. They go P18 and P17. It's Mitchell Green and John Viscup going from P16 and P15. Before we see Jan Bernier and Ray Acosta, P14 and P13. Completing our Shell drivers, now into our Pirelli Am drivers with Jay Logan and Sebastian Mascaro, P12 and P11. P10 for Cyril Choksi, P9 for Ofer Levy. Then P8 for Tony Davis and P7 for Chris Cagnazzi. To the next row, which is row 3, we find Frank Szczesniak going from P6 and Brian Cook going from P5. Into our Pirelli drivers, Jason McCarthy and Matthias Perez Companger are on row 2, P4 and P3. And it's Roberto Perina and Dylan Medler going from P2 and P1, the front row of the grid. For our Pirelli drivers, it was the second fastest lap from their qualifying session that set the grid for today's race. They had one quali session. The fastest lap would set the grid for race 1. It would be the second fastest lap would set the grid for this race, race 2. So many of them will be weaving from side to side to try and generate some temperature into the slick weather, or slick tyres for dry weather on in the Pirellis. And they've not had too much opportunity to use those slick tyres across the course of this race week, stroke weekend, Nico. You can see several locking them up, and hope they don't flat spot too much, Nico.
No, hopefully not, but the advantage is they have a fresh set of tires, because obviously they didn't use them in qualifying because of the weather. And it was truly horrible 2 days ago. It's not the case, and the sun awaits. The race is about to get underway. Let us enjoy one final race for the Continental Series Championship race, that is. As we said, championships are going to be won effectively. A little bit anticlimactic at the start of the race, but there is no reason to not enjoy it.
Absolutely not. And you see Roberto Perina, who's chased Dylan Medler, and you know, really has, the competition between the two of them has been awesome all season long. Side-by-side grid formation then for the cars. The Richard Mills safety car will peel off into the pit lane. Then it will be the responsibility of Dylan Medler to control the rolling start along with Roberto Perina alongside. It's a lot of cars, Nico. 28 of the cars across Pirelli, Pirelli Am, Shell and Shell Am drivers. Ferrari Challenge North America 2024. What a season it has been. And we have 30 minutes plus 1 lap of race action to come around the 4.9 kilometer Imola circuit. 21 turns, 12 left, 9 right, anti-clockwise. Lights to the top of the gantry so that we can see them. Let's go racing. Great start from Roberto Perina. Good start too from Dylan Medler. And Matthias Perez Compact trying to get to the inside of Roberto Perina as he did yesterday, but no such luck in doing today. Roberto Perina maintains that position and holds on to P2 as Dylan Medler escapes up the road. We've got one car off into the gravel through the first sequence of turns. That is the only car, to the best of my knowledge, that has dropped out of the running as Dylan Medler continues on his way. I think it was Chris Cagnazzi that went into the gravel. And another car has picked up some damage, though, and that's a Pirelli Am driver because it has a white strip across the top of the windscreen, I think. So they continue on their way then with Dylan Medler, undaunted, already having built a margin of 6/10 over Roberto Perina, P2. And there we can see, trying to pick out the number there, Nico. I couldn't quite see it, to be honest with you. And there's Matthias Perez Compact.
Not quite sure. It might have been Tony Davis, but our timing screen is indicating that a few drivers have dropped down the order.
Might have been Jay Logan, to be honest with you. But anyway, let's focus on where we're at the moment. Pirelli being led by Dylan Medler. Pirelli Am being led by Brian Cook. Shell being led by Ray Acosta, who's had a fantastic run of success. And Shell Am being led by Jeffrey Nunberg, with Roger Monteforte running in P2 at the moment. Here is Dylan Medler then with a lap in the book. And in reality, that's enough. He is effectively the champion, is Dylan Medler. Roberto Perina P2, Matthias Perez Compact P3, then it is Jason McCarthy.
Yeah, and Chris Cagnazzi was able to get the car out of the gravel again,
well done,
so
Chris.
he is running. Otherwise, we would have maybe looked at the safety car, but he has joined the queue, or is at least chasing the queue, so no jeopardy of a safety car, so we can continue our race unabated.
So I think Gabe Harib has dropped down the order as well. It was certainly Jay Logan, I think, was the other car that was involved in that we saw there. Gabe Harib potentially also involved also. We can tell that from our timing screen. Whoa, Roberto Perina really dancing over the curbs there as he's continuing to chase down Dylan Medler. The gap between them is 5.5 tenths. So as up the hill they climb right now, both of them breaking away significantly from Matthias Perez Compact and Jason McCarthy as well. I think Jan Bernier has dropped down the order also. And there you can see Eric Marston, the driver of the 426 car that's running P2 at the moment in Shell Drivers. Now ahead of him is Cyril Choksi. Cyril Choksi, driver of the 373 car. And confirmation of that, P10 and P11 in the race overall. But of course, in terms of class honours, or category honours, should I say, it's a bit different to that. Now, Eric Marston presumably has done enough. Even though Ray Acosta is leading the race, Eric Marston should become the champion in Copa Shell. And Eric then, who's, again, another driver that's had a stellar season, but he hasn't had it all his own way. Been supremely dominant, but there have been little lows along the way as he's trying very hard to get by Cyril Choksi here. And Eric and Cyril are good buddies, but of course, when you're a racing driver and you're out there on the track, the car in front of you is the car that has got to be overtaken. As we get a replay of the start then, Dylan Medler got it nailed perfectly. And all the cars got away, running through their grid boxes, to the best of my knowledge, all pretty fairly. Maybe one or two a bit wayward, to be honest with you, as we see it from that high shot there. With just under 26 minutes plus a lap remaining. Roberto Perina then absolutely determined not to make the mistake he made yesterday that allowed Matias Perez Compact to go through. And that you can see as the cars ran through the gravel trap, 1 or 2 were out of place, and that's why Jan Bernier has dropped down the order. You can see him collecting, or being collected by a car. I think you were right, Nico, to point out that Tony Davis had dropped down the order as well. He's actually now in the pit lane. Great shame for Tony Davis. He's had another brilliant season, but really wanted to take the championship, but at the moment that's going the way of Brian Cook in the Pirelli Ams, who's incidentally leading the Pirelli Am race. And Frank Szczesniak, who's had such an off yesterday, Nico, well, he's right in the wrongs of yesterday at the moment by running in P2, and Sebastian Mascaro running P3 for our Pirelli Am drivers. Cyril Choksi and Eric Marston and John Viscup and Bruce Cleveland all together there. So there you can see, I think that Tony Davis was actually out of the car, so not much likelihood of Tony Davis being out in the remainder of this race. Great shame.
Yes, Cyril Choksi, you can see he's a Pirelli M driver, but right now at this very moment he's been the cork in the bottle for some of the Shell drivers.
Yes, he is.
Really love to get by, but obviously, even though those are not competitors for him in terms of points and class, he has no intention of just surrendering that position on track. And
why should he?
Yeah, of course. He is enjoying that, probably. No pressure, because, you know, kind of academic if it happens. All he wants is to master and nail every single apex, every single turn, every single acceleration phase. And if someone gets by, well, we will see. But you have to do it on your own. And I think it's not quite.
Now, Ray Acosta has been very clever here, because Ray Acosta, who's leading the Shell race, he's got a cushion of 3 Pirelli Am drivers between himself and Eric Marston. The last one of those is Cyril Choksi, who you can see Eric Marston battling with right now. But of course, Eric Marston has got up his trumpet, John Viscup and Bruce Cleveland at the same time. So Eric under a bit of pressure here to try and dispose of Cyril Choksi to the best of his ability. And as I say, they're buddies, they're not, you know. Nonetheless, when the crash helmet is on, there's work to be done. And Eric is looking at every single opportunity as he gets right alongside Cyril Choksi now. This is going to be who is going to be brave enough on the brakes. That was a brilliant overtake from Eric Marston. He lined that up perfectly, put himself alongside Cyril Choksi. Job done.
Absolutely, and you can see on the rear of the Cyril Choksi car on the right-hand side there is some of the bodywork missing, and that can't be helpful for aerodynamics on the 296 car of Cyril Choksi, and that means why he is maybe not as quick as he would be otherwise. Also, some bodywork missing on the 458 car of Bruce Cleveland.
Yes, you're right. Well picked up on that. Fastest lap comes from Dylan Medler, 1:42.780 for the young man as he just power slides the car out of that. And there you can see the really extremely friendly and great fun team of the collection and Ferrari of Miami down there on the pit wall. Of course, every racing driver has to go and pedal the car, but behind the scenes, there's a big team of people that work on the car, that enthuse on the car, that enthuse about their driver and do everything they can to give him the ability to go out and perform.
Talking about help and going out, for once I'm happy that you were wrong, because Tony Davis is out again, so his team did a brilliant job. And even though obviously it's not for championship wins anymore, but Tony Davis is out again and continuing to take part in the race. Good news, and we've got all our 28 cars back on track.
Well, do you know what? I like being proved wrong when that is the result of that. Well done to the Continental Autosports team for getting Tony back out on track again. So Dylan Medler then, leading in Trofeo Pirelli, leading in Pirelli Am is Brian Cook, leading in Shells is Ray Acosta. This is going to be his 4th win in a row. Leading in the Shell Am drivers, it is Jeff Nunberg. And he is ahead of Roger Monteforte and Steve Check. So across the line comes Dylan Medler to put another lap in the book, and we've got 21.25 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. You can see that Dylan is pushing for all he's worth, Nico. 1:43.124, the very best lap that came from Dylan Medler. Just 1 or 2 drivers picking up track limits violations. Roberto Perina is one of them. Jason McCarthy is another one. Just something to keep borne in mind. Fastest lap for the Pirelli Am drivers comes from Brian Cook. And in replay, we can take a look here at Jeffrey Nunberg taken to the grass, holding on to the car. But behind him, I think that was Osvaldo Gallo, who found himself pointing in the wrong direction momentarily in the 493 Ferrari Challenge 296 car. So I was going through the fastest laps. Eric Marston fastest in the Shell drivers, and for the Shell AM drivers, Jeff Nunberg. Let's run the telemetry on the Dylan Medler car then, fourth gear, pulling 190 kilometers per hour. Make that 215 kilometers per hour before braking down to third gear through the chicane, back on the gas once again as Dylan Medler gives it everything he can. Fourth gear up to fifth gear right now. It's as if I was driving the car. Oh, I only wish I could drive as well as Dylan Medler does. You can see how he just projects the car perfectly across the curbs and takes a little bit and knows precisely where to pitch the car to get the most out of the tarmac and to get the most out of the car as well. We split the shot so that you can see the team on the pit wall as well as Dylan completes another lap in this 30-minute plus 1 lap race in the Ferrari Challenge North America Race 2 of the weekend. Dylan's partner Juliette will of course be watching on and enthusing. Dylan's a big fella, very nearly 7 foot tall, you know, and already I think he's up against some back market traffic, Nico. That might be the Osvaldo Gallo car who had returned from that spin he had earlier on.
Yeah, we can see that the Pirelli drivers are already catching up with the first of the Shell M drivers, those who had some issues earlier. Brian Cook, he is champion in Pirelli AM.
Yeah, Brian Cook then with the colour scheme that pays homage to the Ferrari hypercar. Brian, a real Ferrari enthusiast and a racing enthusiast, and lovely guy. Frank Szczesniak running P2, Sebastian Mascaro running P3, Roberto Perina's team and Jan Bernier's team and many other drivers' team, the Ferrari of Saddle Scuderia 1999 pit wall that we were on board with just for a moment, as there you can see the mix of Pirelli AM drivers, Shell and Shell AM drivers. It's our Pirelli drivers that we stay with for the moment. Roberto Perina has kept within a second of Dylan Medler, Nico. So Roberto Perina absolutely determined to go out of the 2024 season on as high as he can. We're being warned that there is gravel on the track at turn 3. Let's pick up on Ray Acosta from the collection, because Ray Acosta has had a fabulous run, Nico. And Ray Acosta then is currently running in P1. Over the last 3 races that he's had in North America, guess what his result has been? P1, P1, P1. Ray on terrific form in the 407 car, doing a brilliant job indeed. And Ray is another one of those drivers that's done a lot of driving, in that he has competed in Europe as well as North America this year as well. So getting a lot of seat time in these wonderful 296 Challenge cars. Absolutely.
In the collection, engineer Dylan Medler, they engineer Ray Acosta, so they have 2 race leaders in Pirelli and Pirelli AM. So I guess a very, very confident and proficient pit purge there, and a great crew engineering all those cars. And Ray Acosta, in fairness, is running P6 overall, is better than all but one of the Pirelli M drivers, and is almost on the verge of mixing it up with the Pirelli driver. So such is his speed in this race and this week, that he feels like almost out of category, because he's so very, very quick here.
So we go back to our overall race leader, Dylan Medler. And he seems to be just almost playing with the gap between himself and Roberto Perina, because he's gone back up to 1.1 seconds now. So I think he's rather managing that fairly perfectly at the moment, is Dylan. It's up to 1.428 now as Roberto Perina continues to try and get on terms with Dylan Medler. Onto the start-finish straight now to put another lap in, and you can just see at the back of the shot Matthias Perez-Companc, who's running P3. So the graphics on the left-hand side of the screen, because we have so many drivers, we don't quite get all of them on there for you in terms of the top 3, so let me run through them for you. Dylan Medler, Roberto Perina, Matthias Perez-Companc, the top 3 Pirelli drivers. For Pirelli AM, it's Brian Cook, it is Frank Szczesniak, and it is Sebastian Mascaro. For our Shell drivers, Ray Acosta. Then it's Eric Marston, then it is John Visca. And in replay here, pretty sure that was the Dana Goodwin car. Dana Goodwin finding the gravel, just picked that up. Yes, 488 Dana Goodwin onto the grass, but he'll get going again. Where was I? Top three in Shell. Ray Acosta, Eric Marston, and John Viscup, and the top three in the Shell Am drivers, Jeffrey Nunberg, Roger Monteforte, and Paul Lynn doing a good job in P3 for Ferrari of Newport Beach.
Absolutely. Paul Lynn was denied a podium yesterday,
yes,
but a very, very small margin, just a few tenths or 100ths actually, but right now he is running in P3. He's holding Steve Check at bay with 1.5 seconds to the good for the time being, but we're exactly half race distance, plus a lap, okay, but 15 minutes plus a lap remaining, and it's not said and done who will finish where.
Incidentally, I don't want to throw a curveball in here, but Brian Cook, who is leading in Pirelli Am and, of course, leading the championship, he's now got 2 track limits warnings, Nico. Basically, the deal is you get 3 warnings before, on the 4th warning, you pick up a time penalty.
Yeah, indeed. 5 seconds for the first time, and then you've got another 3
sort of
freebies,
yeah,
effectively, and then it gets really, really painful. Not that a 5-second penalty in a race is not painful, and there is a replay. That is going in the Tamburello, and yeah, that is...
Jeff just lost the back end of the car, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, Lisa Clark comes to a halt.
So there was no assist there, I don't believe. Just carrying perhaps a little bit too much speed into that, and that was good avoidance, if I'm honest with you, by Roger Monteforte.
Yeah, indeed, and that obviously moves up the likes of Paul Lynn, Steve Check, a few positions.
And of course means Roger Monteforte is now leading.
Yes, indeed.
In class. So we have Dylan Medler leading for the Pirelli drivers. We have Brian Cook leading for the Pirelli Am drivers. Those are 2 champions-elect, effectively. For the Shell drivers, our champion-elect Eric Marston is running in P2, and for our Shell Am drivers, it is now Roger Monteforte leading. So he, of course, would be and become a champion as well. Jeff Nunberg is under investigation for a rejoin, an unsafe rejoin on the track. So Frank Szczesniak and Sebastian Mascaro, we run our telemetry on right now. Frank Szczesniak with a slightly different coloured front end of the car following the grazing with the barriers that he had yesterday, and Sebastian Mascaro chasing down as well. Sebastian Mascaro driving the 329 car, the 301 car ahead is that car of Frank Szczesniak. Started the season driving in the 488 Challenge, Nico, before his 296 Challenge car was readied, and has jumped into it, and like the proverbial hand in the glove, has found it to his liking.
Yeah, very good. So a number of drivers across various regions start with the 488 and then move up to the 296. But equally, it's been great to see that the 488 still has been a very significant part of the racing throughout this season. And it's going to be sad to see it go when it does. But the 296 is so universally revered and loved by the drivers and everybody who's working with it. And it's an amazing car, both in GT3, but especially also in the Challenge. So it has really proven its worth this season, and we look forward to many more seasons with it.
Or Sebastian Mascaro going for a move. And Frank Szczesniak, and now Ofer Levy is looking at the opportunity as well. And right behind them is one of our Shell drivers there, the 301 car of Frank Szczesniak. And Sebastian Mascaro ahead right now. And Ofer is looking for his way through also. And running right behind them, of course, is the car of Eric Marston, Nico, the Shell driver and Shell champion. A time penalty of 10 seconds for car number 441, which is Jeffrey Nunberg, for a unsafe rejoin. And that is a bit of rally crossing going on there as the car dives through the gravel trap. See it all over again, perhaps. No, that was in replay. There, our race leader, Dylan Medler, Roberto Perina, and out goes the 478 car. So strife there for Al-Hegi. And that in replay as Al-Hegi just kisses the barriers. Now, if he can get it going from there, we're going to be okay. If he cannot get it going from there, then there is the potential of a safety car, which is called for right now. So Dylan Medler is going to have to back off as the safety car is called for the recovery of the Al-Hegi car. We were talking, or you were talking about the 488 Challenge car. I just want to give a shout out, if I may, to Massimo Perena, who won the Ferrari Challenge North America 488 Championship this year and did a very good job. Massimo Perena, of course, the Perenas. Roberto is competing in this race. Massimo is his nephew. And Massimo, who was another absolute standout star in the Ferrari Challenge this year. So safety car is called for with 10 minutes plus 1 lap remaining in this final Ferrari Challenge North America race for the 2024 championships, plural, because we have all 4 categories racing in the one race. Our Pirelli drivers, our Pirelli AM drivers, our Shell drivers, and our Shell AM drivers. Also want to pick up on something that you mentioned, Nico, and that is the fact that Ray Acosta, who is a Shell driver, is driving with such a plum that it is possible for him to mix it with the Pirelli drivers. Well, not only is he mixing it with the Pirelli AM drivers and in front of all of them, he now, of course, will be right on the back of Jason McCarthy, who is our driver running P4 in Pirellis. Who's that with some damage? Is that Heggie that's managed to get the car out?
478. That is indeed Al-Hegi. Yeah, he looks very much in strife. And
so once that car presumably makes it back to the pit lane, then the safety car presumably can be brought back in. Yeah, I would have thought.
Yeah, and there we can see we're just approaching the timing line, the start-finish straight. So hopefully next lap we will be able to restart the race under green flag conditions, and then it's going to be maybe 6.5 minutes or so, 6 minutes plus a lap remaining as the final sprint, and obviously all the gaps will have dissipated by that time. Up behind the safety car, it will be down to Dylan Medler to control the pace of the restart.
This might, Roberto Perena might sense the opportunity here, Nico. It's almost like another opportunity for him to have a go for the win of the race and to at least, you know, I know Roberto is disappointed because in the championship him and Dylan have had such a ding-dong battle. It's been brilliant. And of course, you know, he will be hugely congratulatory to Dylan Medler, but of course he would have wanted to win the championship. If he could win the final race, that would make him just feel a little bit better, I would suggest.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he wouldn't be a race driver if he were content to, oh, well, it's a restart, let's just stay in P2, yeah. I don't really care. That would be hugely out of character, and especially when, you know, the championship points, it's not about the points, it's about the race win here. So he will definitely go for it. Will he do a daredevil move? No, he still needs the car for tomorrow, he still needs the car for Sunday, and also he has, like all the other drivers here, a huge ton of respect, mutual. So none of them will do something crazy, but obviously they will explore the limits of what they can do and what they can get away with in terms of trying to make a fair but
safety car is coming in this lap, Nico, as you predicted. Sorry to interrupt your fine sentiments, but I felt it was newsworthy, and therefore I did interrupt you.
Very good. I'm happy to be interrupted by the safety car coming in, everybody. The driver's preparing. We are preparing for the race to get underway under green flag conditions.
Yeah. Dylan will stack Perena up now. I don't mean shove him into the barriers. I don't mean that at all. I mean stack him up in terms of try and slow him down. And of course, Roberto is going to have to try and anticipate when Dylan goes for it. And what Dylan is not allowed to do is accelerate, then decelerate, accelerate, then decelerate. So when the Richard Mille safety car has gone, it is Dylan Medler's option. He can go for it whenever he likes, but once he does go for it, he has to stay gone for it, as it were. Explained that really, articulated that very well, did I not?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'll get my coat.
The safety car, I think, has increased speed already. Now, Dylan Medler has to wait, because otherwise he might catch up with the safety car.
No, that wouldn't do either.
We would be in a very difficult situation rules-wise. I don't think he's allowed to overtake the safety car before he gets there, so a little bit of waiting is in store for him. But as you can see, we're 5 minutes 49 seconds, and the safety car has already
Look at Perina, look at Roberto Perina. I mean, he couldn't, if he welded the car to the back end of Dylan, he couldn't be any closer, could he, without touching?
Yeah, but Dylan Medler has gone, and Robert Perina was maybe a little bit too close even, because he couldn't quite react as quickly, and there is already a gap among the first three. Then the next drivers, and one
Tony
of the cars...
Davis. It was Tony Davis, I think. Or was it Cyril Choksi? Actually, it could have been Cyril Choksi coming in. We'll see. We'll pick it up on the timing screen in a moment. Let's go racing once again then. Safety car is back. And Dylan Medler, who's back in the lead of the race, and already is 7.5 tenths up the road from Roberto Perina. Steady as you go, ladies and gentlemen, because of course the tyres will have cooled down a little bit during that safety car phase. Says he, like he knows what he's talking about, and I don't. Matthias Perez Companc, as you can see, and it was the Tony Davis car. I rather feared that it was the 304 car, Nico. And Tony Davis, who... feel for him, really do. There's Matthias Perez Companc, there's Jason McCarthy, and there is the 303 car of Brian Cook. So Brian Cook then, who's leading in Pirelli AM drivers, but Ray Acosta has got by him. As you know, I mentioned that during that safety car phase, where Ray Acosta is on something of a mission. What have we got? 4.5 minutes as Dana Goodwin, our Ferrari of Seattle. Please, Dana, get that car out of the gravel. I beg of you. Because where that car is situated, Nico, Eric Marston's is in strife as well, Nico. I wondered when I just saw that car, it's a different car to Dana Goodwin. I'm pretty sure that's the Eric Marston car. Safety car is back out again.
That's a pity, and there was a little bit of a mix of back-marking cars and front-running cars, and maybe there was something, a little bit of a coming together, but I think with 3 minutes and 44 seconds, as quick as the track personnel and the recovery teams have worked here in Imola, I think that's going to be a very tough ask to get back racing.
Just before our TV crew changed the shot, I looked at that car, I thought, that's a red car, but that is not Dana Goodwin. It's not the same trajectory that Dana Goodwin had, and I'm pretty sure that's Eric Marston, Nico. Our Ferrari Challenge Copa Shell champion.
Indeed.
Out of the race, I think.
Well, we will get confirmation on the screen and in graphics at some point for sure, and there is a replay which might afford us that.
So this is Dana Goodwin. So Dana Goodwin had an assist there, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it was the Eric Marston car parked on the side of the road, up near the Acqua Minerale sequence, and yeah, where that car was situated, there was no question that a safety car would have to be called for, and with two cars in it
to be recovered
at pretty much the same spot of the track, that may just be that one challenge too much for the crew here at Imola to get them out of the way as quickly as they would need. We're 2 minutes 20 seconds away.
Plus a lap. Don't think so.
Yeah, they would have to recover it quickly enough for... it's possible. Well, let's hold out hope. We don't know. We would like to see this race to finish, obviously, at race pace and not behind the safety car, but it's going to be a tough ask.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. Well, so the order then, when the safety car was called for, Dylan Medler, Roberto Perina, Matthias Perez Companc, the top three for our Pirelli drivers. For our Shell drivers, Ray Acosta, John Viscup, and Mitchell Green, the top three. For our Pirelli AM drivers, Brian Cook, Sebastian Mascaro, and Frank Szczesniak. And for our Shell AM drivers, Roger Monteforte, Paul Lynn, and Steve Jack. Those are the drivers that are in the podium places provisionally, with 1.5 minutes remaining plus 1 lap. Safety car is out. We have 2 cars to be recovered. Now, to the best of my knowledge, Nico, that will not make a difference with regards to our championship standings. As it is at the moment, the Trofeo Pirelli champion will be, well, the Dana Goodwin incident. One assumes, therefore, with the 426 car being looked at, as you can see on graphics, that the 488 and 426 cars came together. That was Dana Goodwin and Eric Marston.
Yeah.
Ironically, two red cars finding themselves together. So,
we're about 45 seconds left on the clock, and the safety car is now approaching the finish line, and we will get over the line with time remaining. That means it's the remainder of this lap plus one more. So if by the time they hit the second sector line, everything is cleared on the track, we would get a final lap, and I would really love that.
you are the forever the eternal optimist, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, well, you to be applauded for that. Can I go back to my script now?
Sorry.
In terms of the championships, Dylan Medler will have done enough to become the Trofeo Pirelli champion. For the Pirelli AM drivers, Brian Cook will have done enough to become the Pirelli AM champion. For our Shell drivers, despite the fact that he's not going to finish the race, Eric Marston will become the Ferrari Challenge Cobra Shell champion. And for Cobra Shell AM drivers, Roger Monteforte, winning the Cobra Shell AM race at the moment, will become Cobra Shell AM champion. Provisionally, all of those.
Absolutely.
Because, as Nico says, it's not until all scrutineering and everything else is done and checks and such like. So, there we are. So, we await the second sector line, which is the last moment, isn't it, that they could say that the safety car is coming in? This is turmoil for me.
This is tense, but yeah, I think we would maybe have had a confirmation. I'm trying to jinx it the opposite way, that I say it's not going to happen, and then it might, but I rather think with just Aqua Minerale to do before we reach that sector line, it might just be a little bit too much to ask, but it would be so nice. It would be so nice. It's what I want for Christmas.
Right, we've made notes of that. I don't think our recovery teams, with the best will in the world, and they have been, I want to give them a big shout because I think they've been really efficient over this weekend. This week. And, you know, they have had quite a lot to deal with in torrid weather conditions often, Nico. And they've done a really, really good job. But I think the ask that you were making of them was too great.
Yes, indeed. We're into the final sector, and that means it's too late to throw out the indication that the safety car would be coming back in, and that means we will have one more lap after this one. But it will not be at race pace. It will not be with the overtaking opportunity for any of the drivers, and that means what you see on the left-hand side of your screen is going to be the final result. As we said, barring all the technical checks and barring any disaster, this is how it's going to finish, and Dylan Medler will take not only the championship but also the last race win of the championship point season.
You're absolutely right. So the car's crossing the timing line now to start what is going to be effectively the last lap. We should see final lap come up on screen, and we do. So we're going to be behind the safety car, Nico, as we thought.
Yeah, sadly, I have to come up with a different Christmas wish, but it's been a great race nonetheless. Lots of drama, lots of action. And even though the championships were effectively decided towards the beginning rather than the end of the race, make no mistake, once those cars and those drivers reach Parc Fermé, you're in for some emotions to be very, very visible and, I dare say, audible.
Oh, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think that will be the case. There is Juliette, Dylan Medler's girlfriend there. I think girlfriend. Well, I know girlfriend, but I hope it's not more formal than that. That's what I'm trying to say. The incident involving cars 488 and 426, no further action after investigation. They consider it a racing incident. Well, what to say, Nico? I feel for Eric a bit. It would have been nice to finish the race as champion, wouldn't it?
Yes, indeed, but he still has the comfort of having that championship and the prospect of a world final qualifying, which will get underway tomorrow. And then on Sunday morning, set your alarms. We go racing roughly 9 a.m. local time. It's going to be Shell Am, it's going to be Copper Shell and 488, and then it's going to be Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli M. throwing together our North American competitors, our European competitors, some from Mars, I believe. Venus is on track. Whoever wants to take part as a member of a Ferrari Challenge Regional Championship is welcome. You have to have a certain number of races.
Very silly man. Please ignore him.
No, join us for those races. I mean, everything that you have experienced and enjoyed in North America, in Europe, was great. But when it's all down to only one race, the winner take it all, quite literally, it's something very, very special in motorsport, and we will get to enjoy that. Could be nicer weather, to be honest, but we enjoy the sunshine here and the outlook for 2 more days of Ferrari Challenge racing.
Get your coat.
Will do.
Right. So the safety car has gone away, which will at least allow the drivers to cross the line, Nico. And Dylan Medler, well, he has had a phenomenal season. Roberto Perina and Matthias Perez Companc and Jason McCarthy almost together as they cross the line. Congratulations to Dylan Medler, who, to the best of our knowledge, becomes a champion for Trofeo Pirelli. Congratulations to Brian Cook, who celebrates the Pirelli AM Championship. Congratulations to Eric Marston, who becomes the Shell champion. And congratulations to Roger Monteforte, who becomes the Shell AM champion. Hope I got that right.
We both do, but it's very much in line with the information that we have, and the provisional standings and results certainly should confirm that. Dylan Medler. Watched him in Europe, watched him in North America, and as you said, he didn't put a foot wrong over the end of the season, and well-deserved champion at the end. It was tense yesterday, it wasn't quite as tense today.
No, he has been something of a star this year, as has Ray Acosta. That does seal his 4th win in a row, Nico. Ray Acosta really having a good time of it in the Ferrari Challenge North America towards the end of the season. Well done, Ray.
You could arguably usurp Brian Cook for the winner on the Pirelli AM podium, just because he edged out all the Pirelli AM drivers. It is quite an achievement. It just shows how competitive and how balanced the drivers are across different categories, let alone within category. And there is our Pirelli AM winner, Brian Cook. I think he'll hold on to that P1 position on the podium, I dare say. But a great race, great performance from our drivers, and Brian Cook not only today but across the season.
I agree. You know, when you look at the statistics for the drivers in terms of what they have achieved, as we can see, Copa Shell AM winner is Roger Monteforte. Roger's had an up and down season as well this year, but there he is in that 401 car. Well done, Roger. Yeah, when we look at the statistics of what the drivers have done across the course of this season, Dylan Medler, 5 wins, but consistent point scoring as well, which is important because points make prizes, as we can see. For Brian Cook, Brian's another driver that has experienced highs and lows. He set the season off in great stride with 3 wins in a row, 2 at the Circuit of the Americas, 1 at Laguna Seca. Then 2 in Montreal, 1 in Watkins Glen, 1 in Sonoma. Yeah, there's the confirmation of the classification. Dylan Medler taking the win from Roberto Perina and Matthias Perez Companc. Ray Acosta, the best of the Shell drivers, best of the Pirelli AM drivers, Brian Cook, who headed Sebastian Mascaro and Frank Szczesniak. John Viscott was second in the Shell drivers, Ophir Levy there. Then the rest of the order, but critically, Roger Monteforte, P1 for Shell AM, Paul Lynn, P2 for Shell AM, and Steve Czech, P3 for Shell AM. Now, that, to the best of my knowledge, looking at my records, is the best result for Paul Lynn this season. He's had a podium, but it was a P3, and that came in the first race at Laguna Seca, if my memory serves. So there we have it, and lots and lots of scenes of jubilation down there Dylan Medler becomes 24 foot tall by standing atop his 296 challenge car. This looks like he's tall enough anyway. And he is congratulated by Matt Dusenberry from Ferrari Challenge North America. And yeah, lots of scenes of happiness down there. I rather think a bottle of lemonade might be opened in the paddock. Very aggressive, wasn't it? And of course, all the drivers are celebrating. And it's a real huddle down there, Nico.
It is. I mean, with 4 categories, 3 drivers on the podium each, that is already 12 drivers. And add all the teams, families, etc. It makes for a big crowd. And I mean, that's one thing that the Ferrari Challenge across all the regions really makes it special. You know, the camaraderie within the paddocks is really something special. And you know, on days like these, it's extra visible.
I agree with you. We'll get to hear from all of our category winners, but first of all, we are going to hear from the big fella. The collection driver from Ferrari of Miami, Dylan Medler, race winner and champion.
Dylan, congratulations, 2 wins in a row. How do you feel?
Oh, it feels amazing, especially to do a clean sweep this weekend, 2 wins in a row. Solidifies my P1 in the championship, which is an overall great result for the team. I could have done it without him.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Short but sweet. Well done. Congratulations, Dylan Medler. We will also be hearing from Brian Cook. Hopefully, we'll also be hearing from Ray Acosta. And hopefully, we'll be hearing from Roger Monteforte. There is Ray Acosta, who awards his race winner's baseball cap to a member of our team. It's fantastic. So, Ray Acosta then, the top shell driver. And he is being ushered right now by Ludovica. And let's hear from Ray Acosta. Well done, Ray.
Ray, congratulations. Another success for you here at Imola. How do you feel? And can you tell more about your strategy and your race?
The strategy was just do the same thing as I did yesterday, keep it on the track, get on the podium. Did well. I want to take a word out just to thank a couple of coaches here. I want to thank my U.S. coach, Pierre, for doing a great job this season. Marco, you have been amazing. Thank you so much. My family, friends, thank you. This is to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, Ray Acosta. Marco Bononomi, of course, he talking about there. So, we've heard from our Pirelli driver, we've heard from our Shell winner, our Pirelli winner, our Shell winner. Hopefully we'll hear from our Pirelli Am winner and our Shell Am winner as well. And those will be Brian Cook and Roger Monteforte. Up next, it's going to be Brian Cook, in my opinion, the Pirelli Am driver. Another fantastic year he has had. And, okay, Ludovica is with him now. Let's hear from Brian Cook.
What another incredible race for you. I want to discover if there was some steps compared to yesterday, today.
Yeah, I guess we learned from yesterday, and it was a pretty good race, no drama until something broke in the suspension about halfway through the race, so it got very interesting and tricky. So I think I was saved by the safety car then, but a difficult race. Let me say thank you to MG1, Mark Miller, and my family for helping me support me this, and Ferrari's here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, Brian. You're a star. So that just leaves Roger Monteforte to speak to, in my opinion, Nico. He being the Shell Am driver that won the race. You can see Gabe Harib there in conversation with Didier Tays, who's Ferrari Challenge North America head coach.
great. Congratulations, 2 wins in a row here at Imola. Can describe in what way and how with your team you built the strategy and the race for today?
Oh yeah, well, first off, it was just a dream come true. 2 wins in Imola. Just to be here with Ferrari, my whole team, incredible. We made a couple of minor changes from yesterday due to the fact that there were different conditions today, and it paid off tremendously, I believe, at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, Roger Monteforte. So we look at the back end of the Brian Cook car. As the cars were released then for the final championship race for Ferrari Challenge North America, Dylan Medler nailed the start absolutely perfectly, but Roberto Perina was not going to allow Matthias Perez Compact to come through, as happened in race 1. So Roberto Perina in P2 was going to chase Dylan Medler for all he was worth. Now, there were 1 or 2 little touches going through the first sequence of turns. Chris Cagnazzi, one of those finding the gravel. I think there was an assist there and unfortunately damage to the Jan Bernier car. Now, Cyril Choksi and Eric Marston were having something of a ding-dong battle. Eventually, Eric Marston finding his way past Cyril Choksi, and John Visca would be next in the queue to try and find a way by. The 493 car driven by Osvaldo Gallo and Jeffrey Nunberg found the grass, and then you could see that Osvaldo Gallo, almost in avoidance, had to take to the grass as well. It wasn't the first time Jeff went around, and the second time it was Lisa Clark that had to brake very, very quickly indeed. Frank Szczesniak and Sebastian Mascaro having something of a battle, and 478 car of Al Heggie found the barriers. Thankfully, he was able to recover the car from there. Ofer Levy and Dana Goodwin and Eric Marston having something of a coming together, and that would take out both the Dana Goodwin and the Eric Marston car. And that brought out the safety car, but the checkered flag was taken by the drivers, and Dylan Medler had done enough to win in Pirelli. So up next, we will be heading up to the podium. 4 podiums to come: Pirelli, Pirelli Am, Shell, and Shell Am.
There is the podium being readied for our first podium. Trofeo Pirelli. It's going to be Matthias Perez Compact, Roberto Perina. There is Matthias Perez Compact taking P3. Roberto Perina, P2. Champion, race winner,
Dylan Medler. Dylan is such a cool dude, Nico. And another young talent that's using the Ferrari Challenge, and has done it to great effect, hasn't he, by winning the championship. Of course, the collection, Ferrari of Miami, represented on the podium as well. And Matthias Perez Compact, another very young driver, and Roberto Perina's not an old man either.
No, I think he would take exception.
Yeah, it's the trophy presenter. Our Ferrari factory driver makes the trophy presentation to Matthias Perez Compact. I'm going to get a slap from Roberto now, aren't I? There's Roberto receiving his trophy. Well done. And there's Roberto's brother and dad of Massimo. And there is Dylan Medler. Now his championship trophy will be awarded at a gala, glittering gala event tomorrow evening. Ifeye making the trophy presentations. He's a super chap as well. Very, very good driver. Pirelli trophy awarded to Dylan Medler as well by Marco Suona, the head of commercial at Pirelli Motorsport. So all the drivers together on the podium along with our trophy presenters also. Well done to all. Come on, Dylan. You've got to be first with the Champers. Come on, mate. I'm not sure. It's almost a dead heat, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it will the video review assistant there, but I think it was kind of synchronized spraying, if you will. Dylan Medler, synchronized driving.
I've heard some rubbish come out of you. That was one of them.
Fair enough. Dylan Medler took a race win for Trofeo Pirelli. Roberto Perina second, and it's very, very quick, fast and furious in the Ferrari Challenge, which also applies to the podiums here in Imola.
Indeed so. Up next, to my knowledge, it will be the Pirelli AM podium, where we will see Brian Cook, Sebastian Mascaro and Frank Szczesniak.
And maybe Ray Acosta.
Les Frank. This is richly deserved, given his off yesterday, Nico, and actually he'll be dedicating this to the Ferrari of Austin team that got the car done. And here's Brian Cook then on the top step of the podium. Sebastian Mascaro has already taken to step 2. So, applause if you will, please. And here come the trophies. Ife once again to make the trophy presentations. So, Frank receives his, Sebastian receives his. And Brian Cook then in receipt of his trophy as well. Now, Daniel Mancinelli down there being very loud and proud, Nico.
Absolutely, yeah. He also one of, and I think he won the championship here in Imola a few years ago. One of the former Ferrari Challenge champions, or he stays champion forever. But not the reigning one, as everybody comes together for the pictures here as things are getting dark around this great podium, which illuminates and lights up with the champions and the winners of the race.
Much unlike the voices you're listening to, which are far from illuminating. Cookie will be quickest with the Champers. Told you. He knows how to do that, you know.
Absolutely.
Well done, Brian Cook, Ferrari of Seattle. And big shout out to Tino Perina here as well, Roberto's brother, who I could see down there in the pit lane.
Absolutely. Looking at the Brian Cook flag, and just a brief reminder that we will have another championship in the Ferrari Challenge next year, namely Ferrari Challenge Australasia.
Australasia.
So it's only growing in terms of activities and emotions.
You can see Tino Perina there with a blue baseball cap on. There you go, Nico. I just thought I'd make that.
Well spotted, sir.
Yes. Will I be invited to be part of the Ferrari Challenge Australasia? Yes, Dave, but you can only go by bus.
Canoe.
Yeah.
Copper Shell.
Yes, and Mitchell Green takes P3, taking P2, it's John Viscup, and then on the top step of the podium, it's Ray Acosta. National anthem. So trophies about to be presented. I remind you that the big championship trophy is going to be presented, of course, at the glittering gala dinner. And of course, we welcome both Lisa Clark and Bruce Cleveland. Lisa, best of the ladies, and Bruce, by dint of being the best gentleman driver, Nico.
Very good.
He is a gentleman as well.
Absolutely.
Ife then with the trophies to be presented. You've got a few to do now, friend. Hope you got a list here. So Mitchell Green receives his trophy. Ife, of course, a Ferrari factory driver who I first met a few years ago. And up next it will be John Viscup, who takes P2. But P1 and the 4th win in a row in the North American Series is for Ray Acosta. Then Lisa Clark will be in receipt of hers. I remind you that, oh no, of course, sorry, Ferrari of Miami first of all. And the collection. And then ladies first. No, Bruce Cleveland first for the gentlemen. And then Lisa Clark will be in receipt of her trophy as well. Lisa Clark, I remind you, Shell Am champion last year in North America, elevated to the Shell Series for this year. And racing not only in North America, but in Europe as well, doing a lot of racing, and is always a welcome addition to our grid. So everyone together then for the for the photographs. Well done. John Viscup will win this champagne race, Nico. You wait and see. I might have backed a duff one here. John, you let me down, friend. Oh, I don't think I did, actually.
Yeah, I think upon review, I think he got it. Didn't look like it initially,
No,
but very good sprint to the champagne finish line. Ray Acosta sprinted to the checkered flag.
Descended, hasn't it?
Quicker than all the Pirelli Am drivers, he certainly worked his magic. 5th overall as a Shell driver, really, really respectable. And as you said, on a rich vein of form, and you know, there is another world final to be.
Yes,
To be won, and
you certainly wouldn't rule him out of being a contender, would you?
Absolutely not. And only one more podium. Only one more podium for our Shell M class.
And we will be seeing Steve Check, Paul Lynn, and Roger Monteforte. Here's Steve. Well done, Steve. Championship contender over the course of the season. Paul Lynn on the 2nd step of the podium. Here's Roger Monteforte.
Yeah, he gave credit to the team in the interview after the race, and it's a team effort.
Well done to our top 3 trophies to be presented. Oh, but of course, here comes Dana Goodwin. Best of the gentlemen racers. Well done, Dana. Here comes Ife then to make the trophy presentations. First of all, to our P3 driver, Steve Check. P2 for Paul Lynn. And for Roger Monteforte. Well done, sir. And of course, the Ferrari of Central New Jersey team in receipt of the Copa Teams trophy. And Dana Goodwin in receipt of the Gentleman trophy as well. So everyone together, please, on the top step of the podium for the photographs. And that's it for the championship for the Ferrari Challenge North America. It has been a phenomenal season, and let me just say thank you for allowing myself and Tony to be the voices, along with Shay Adam and Amanda Busick as well. It's been a great season, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Don't forget, World Championship race still to come, and of course non-championship race to come before the end of the year as well. But from Imola, from Nico and from myself for now, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.